Start at verse 14. It says, "Then I looked, and behold, a white cloud, and sitting on a cloud was one like a son of man, having a gold crown on his head, and a sharp sickle in his hand. And another angel came out of the temple, crying out with a loud voice to him who sat on the cloud, 'Put in your sickle and reap, for the hour to reap has come, because the harvest of the earth is ripe.' Then he who sat on the cloud swung his sickle over the earth, and the earth was reaped." So then you have those who were the harvest. This is those who are the mature grain. This is those who belong to God. This is those who believe in the gospel. This is those who produce fruit. This is the soil. The sickle went into the soil that produced fruit, that had roots. And it reaped. And those who was reaped belonged to the Son of Man, who had the gold crown on his head. That's the reaping group you want to be in. Because there's another reaping group that you don't want to be in. And it's described in verse 17, "And another angel came out of the temple which is in heaven, and he also had a sharp sickle. Then another angel, the one who has power over fire, came out from the altar, and he called with a loud voice to him who had the sharp sickle, saying, 'Put in your sharp sickle and gather the clusters from the vine of the earth, because her grapes are ripe.'" Notice that this one is the vines, the grapes. They're not the mature grain. They're not the harvest. And what happens to the grapes? Remember in Job 3 it said the wine press? That's what you did with the grapes. You took the grapes in the wine press, and the wheat went to the threshing floor. Two separate places. So the angel swung his sickle in the earth and gathered the clusters from the vine of the earth and threw them into the great wine press of the wrath of God. There you have it. The wrath of God. This is an allegory of God separating two people groups. Those who believe and those who don't believe in the Son. Those who receive the word of God and produce fruit. Those who were the lamps, the light. And then you have those who, some of them pretended to be lamps, but they were hiding under the stand. They didn't produce any light. No one saw their light. They shouted when they heard the word, but it didn't last. And then you got a group that just didn't care. They didn't believe at all. They were cold. But they all go to the same destination in this group, and that is the wine press, which is the wrath of God. And the wine press was trotted outside the city, and blood came out with the wine press up to the horses' bridles for a distance of 200 miles. There was a lot of crushing. There was a lot of people crushed. That's what a wine press says blood came out. The wine press is painting a picture of God's wrath as crushing those who don't believe. God is not going to be gentle, meet God at this point in time, because his mercy, his doors of his mercy is closed. The doors of mercy and grace is closed. And now the only thing that's left for these people is the wine press. It's to be crushed. But those who was reaped, by the Son of Man, they're not crushed. They have been saved from the wrath of God. Their trust was in God. They lived this life as if it was for Christ. They didn't live on their behalf. They live on behalf of the one who died for them.